welcome back to the Straw Hat Duo. I'm Charlie. Today we are going over chapter 1045, titled Next Level. I'm gonna get this out right away. This chapter is wacky. It is very, very different than most other One Piece chapters that I've read. Also, last chapter, there was no Zoro. This chapter, still no Zoro. No update on Zoro. Maybe next week. Because this battle looks like it's coming to a close. I don't think it's quite ended just yet by the end of this chapter. It definitely seemed close. Let's go ahead and get right into it with the first panel, which has a little caption here titled, A New Level, Year 5th. It has Luffy panting there, and Kaido's like, I was sure you were a goner after that. Luffy's sitting there laughing. He's like, so was I. Kaido's like, since you're able to make your surroundings rubbery, it should be safe to say you awakened to your paramecia fruit. Transformation like this feels more like zone fruit, though. Luffy's just like, huh? Kaido eats him. Well, bites him. Luffy's like, you bastard. Kaido swallows him. Luffy proceeds to go Bugs Bunny on him, just starts hitting him in a zigzag pattern all across this dragon form, and goes, gum gum balloon, and blows himself up. Makes Kaido much larger. Kaido goes, you little... Right as this happens, Yamato and Momo make it to the roof. They're like, what's that? What the heck is going on? One of them's like, no idea, but it looks like Kaido put on some weight. Yamato's like, is this some sort of form of his? Kaido's like, damn it, how are you doing this? Your body is meant to be rubbery, not mine. And then from Luffy's point of view, you see what looks like eye holes. Luffy's like, hee, I see a pair of bright lights. Proceeds to say, Gamu Gamu no, reach his arms right out of Kaido's eyes, like you would see in a cartoon. Tom and Jerry, for example, just reaching straight out from the eyes. And Luffy goes through the eyes, grabs the nose, and goes, Gamu Gamu no, escape rocket. Rockets himself out of Kaido's mouth, still in the balloon form. He kind of looks back at Kaido, laughing, and lets all the air out, rocketing into the sky, into the clouds. He goes, ah, plops into the clouds. Everybody's shocked by this. You know, Kaido's like, what the hell's going on? Yamato and Momo are like, what? Then you hear, Gamu Gamu no, and somebody's like, Luffy? Luffy finishes it off, the Gamu Gamu no, with Gigant. Comes out of the sky as a giant. He's his human form, well, his awakened form, just bigger than Kaido in his dragon form. If anybody can see this from anywhere other than, you know, Yamato and Momo, they're gonna be just baffled. Yamato's like, who is that? Momo's like, what? Luffy's voice is coming from that thing? Is that really him? As Luffy is coming down with his foot towards Kaido, Kaido bites his midsection, you know, kind of like Momo did to Kaido earlier. Luffy's like, yeah, and says, Gamu Gamu no, and grabs Kaido's head and his tail. Says, Gamu Gamu no, jump rope, and uses Kaido as a jump rope. Halfway down, and, you know, Kaido obviously gets a bit pissed off about this, looks at Luffy, because, you know, he's got his head in his hands, blast breaths him. Boro breath. It's a huge Boro breath. Blasts Luffy right off the island. Yamato's like, oh crap, he just took a blast breath head on. And then you see the charred Luffy falling out of the sky off the side of the island. Luffy kind of looks pissed. He's like, that's the last straw. Grits his teeth, shakes off the charred portion of himself. Then his feet start spinning like Wile E. Coyote. He runs back onto the island with a trail of what seems to be fire following him. He turned into Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner here, I guess. Like I said, this is an interesting chapter. We're about halfway through at this point. It starts to pick up a pace here, though. Luffy comes back at Kaido, swinging his arm, going, Gamu Gamu no. Kaido looks back and says, 3 worlds conquest, Ragnaraku? Yeah, I don't know. It's a move of Kaido's, and it looks like he kind of double hands his Kanabo and swings it down at him. Looks almost like the same move that he used against the CP0 member, honestly, except he jumped with it. It looks like he connects with Luffy right in the back of his head, knocks his head straight through the ground floor, which, you know, Luffy's head kind of stretches out, goes through, and in giant form does the what face with the tongue sticking out and everything, but with the eyes popping out. All of the pirates in there are like freaked out. And you hear Luffy go, youch! You know, like the cartoon. And then we get a panel of Kid, Law, Chopper, Nami, and the little girl that can control the beast pirates with the Kibidambos. Panel of all of them with their eyes popping out, the 3 eyes popping out. And they're just like, what? And Luffy pulls his head back through the hole that he created. He's kind of got like the splattered face look. Kaido mentions, like we've all been saying, it's like something out of a picture book. Luffy's like, man, that stings. Kaido's like, I'll admit, you put on quite a show, but you're still at the end of your rope. You can't beat me. Luffy's like, shut up. I'm far from done. and then starts panting. And he's like, huh? Wheeze. And then his face like starts melting. He goes from his smiling, all white form to like half white form to like what he looked like in the prison kind of rundown. And then his face kind of melts like he's like really hungry and he looks old. Then he kind of droops down. He's like, I'm beat. Kaido's like, what the hell are you? Then Kaido kind of drops down to a knee because he's close to the end of his ropes too. And Luffy's like, okay, you're right. I'm about to croak. This is taking a lot out of me. And his voice is kind of like shaky at this point. You can see by the way it's written. Kaido's like, you can rest easy and die then. Tales will be told about how you all fought this war. And then Luffy's like, who cares about that? When you're dead, only your bones stick around. And then he starts laughing and he's like, she. Yamato and Momo are there looking on. Yamato's like, it really is Luffy. He was unrecognizable with his hair and clothes all white like that, thus showing that, his hair was white and his clothes turned white in this form. I know that was a point of contention with the last chapter. We weren't sure the color theme of it. Then Momo's like, but his voice is still fading quickly. Luffy kind of stands up, gets into his gear second form, and he's like, we're not done yet. Isn't that right? Momo, Tama, Kinemon, Pedro, Tama, I believe is her name. That's right. Otama. That's it. That's the girl's name. He starts to go back into his all-white form. Kaido, he laughs, and he's like, hey, you're really gonna kill yourself. Luffy kind of starts getting the Conqueror's Haki coming off of him, going back into his white form, and he says, after all this, do you really think something like death can scare me? Get loud again, heartbeat. And Kaido kind of rushes at him and says, so be it. Luffy kind of jumps back up into his happy form. And it's like, that's the sound, that's it. Yamato's like, look out, Luffy. Luffy glares at Kaido as the Kanabo comes through, swinging right at the back of Luffy's head. He pulls another cartoon character. He gets hit right in the back of the head with the Kanabo, and his face bends around the Kanabo, and the spikes from the Kanabo are sticking out of his face. Like there's 4 on the top of his head, 1 where his nose would be, and then 1 where his tongue would be. He almost looks like Foxy here. And it goes plunk. Yamato's like, what? Luffy runs away saying it hurts with his face still looking like that. Kaido double hands his Kanabo again, overhead swings it straight down at Luffy with Conqueror's Haki, and it goes frat, and then squish, and then the ground turns to rubber. Kind of like what people were thinking was going to happen when he got hit by the one that the CP0 guy distracted him with. The ground bends around him, and then Luffy bounces straight up, and he's kind of in a squished form at this point. He bounces towards a little mountain type thing, a boulder, and he goes beep beep 3, 2, 1, 0, and then rockets back into his regular form, springboarding himself off of the boulder there and starts swinging his arms, kind of like, I don't remember if he's ever used a move like this, but I would look at it as Gum Gum Helicopter. But he's swinging his arms like a helicopter blade. Kaido looks at it and goes, what in the world is this pure white transformation? He's coated with armament and Conqueror's Haki, and he can influence anything around him with his ability. He fights with such freedom, so versatile. I've never seen anything like it. And then he says out loud, there's no one in this world capable of taking me down. And as he says that, another cartoon panel happens. Luffy with his swinging arms punches straight through the eye, all the way through, punches straight through Kaido's face. Like his face scrunches in right about here, and the fist comes out the back. This, shocks pretty much everyone. It shows Yamato kind of looking distraught almost, like what the hell just happened. Momo is still in this dragon form, but he's kind of looking at it like, what? And then Kaido falls backwards. His face goes back to normal. He's still in his hybrid form, but his pupils are kind of whited out, falls onto his back. And Luffy's like, I'm having the time of my life, Kaido, with a big smile on his face on the last panel. And I don't believe there's a break next week either. That's the end of the chapter. The main thing that makes me think that this chapter isn't quite finished yet is the fact that Kaido's still in his hybrid form. He hasn't completely lost consciousness yet. I think it is coming soon. I think we're going to have kind of a final clash, possibly in the next chapter. Either that, or we're going to kind of get a catch-up chapter next chapter. It's been a number of chapters since we've had one. Now that we've seen that Sanji is okay, I mean, we've got to see at some point if Zoro's okay. You know, that's kind of been a number of chapters since the last time we saw anything with him. You can't leave fans hanging for that long on Zoro, you know. I have a feeling we're going to be getting something with Zoro here soon. Just kind of him waking up, or Chopper coming across him, something along those lines. This chapter, it raises a lot of questions still. The biggest thing that it raises for me is, in this form, Luffy seems more childish than what he would be normal. If that's going to be a continuing theme of this form, I don't see how he's going to fight somebody like Akainu in it, or Blackbeard in it. Those enemies have been set up for Luffy to have personal grudges against. I don't see how you could set up a fight between Luffy and Akainu, or Luffy and Blackbeard, with this persona of him. Now, Oda very well could have a way of, you know, fitting that in and making it work. I won't judge it till I see it, because eventually it will happen. It's just that's a concern for me with this form. I like the form, but it doesn't really fit with a blood feud, you know? It'll be interesting going forward. I don't think we're gonna see a whole lot of this form right off the bat. Probably gonna be a lot like Gear 4th is, very seldomly used. With him learning this form, he may be able to keep Gear 4th up longer. He may default more to Gear 4th going forward. This form takes a lot of stamina out of him. And he flat out says, he's like, in this chapter, he's like, yeah, this is taking a lot out of me. I'm about to croak. So let me know what you think of this chapter. Let me know what you think of Luffy's new form. That's especially a point of contention. I want to know what everybody thinks of this new form. Let me know in the comments below. We'll see you next week for another chapter review. Bye.